Hello everyone and welcome to Plowing the Past. My name is Kendall Motes, and in these videos, guests who have shaped New Holland, Pennsylvania agriculture's history will be interviewed and asked to share their experience. Again, my name is Kendall Motes. I'm a student at Ithaca College in my second year studying advertising and journalism, so doing these interviews is very near and dear to my heart as I am a Grassland FFA alumni and Garden Spot alumni. So today I am here with Weber Eby, who was the wife of Glen Weber until his passing in April of 2023. Glen was such a light and a member of the graduating class of 1966 and served as the PA FFA state president in the years 66 to 67 and became the National FFA vice president in 68 to 69. To the date, Glen is still the only person that was a National FFA officer from the Grassland chapter. So since Glen can't be here today, we have his wife here to share some of his experiences. So I know that you, Lucy, grew up on a farm in the Elverson area. Can you talk to us a little bit about that experience?
Sure. I grew up on a 105-acre farm in Chester County outside of Elverson, and I was the second of 5 children. I was active on the farm. We needed to be. There were 4 girls and then 1 boy at the end. My dad raised beef cattle, chickens, and crops like tomatoes, and I can tell you that my sisters and I were involved in 4-H, Chester County Baby Beef Club, and that was a very enjoyable experience.
Okay. And can you tell us about how you met Glen? Because you didn't go to Garden Spot.
No, I didn't. Well, the first time that I actually met Glen was May of 1965, Mother's Day, when he came down to my house and he asked me out for a date. Okay. And he told me that he saw me with someone that he knew. I was on a date with someone else, and he asked the gentleman, "Are you still seeing Lucy?" And he said no, so he asked me out.
Wow, a Mother's Day. And did you go on a date that night or later?
It was the next week.
Okay.
It was the next week.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you first started to learn about Glen and his involvement in the FFA?
Well, I had heard about the FFA, but I didn't know much about it. But as I dated Glen, he certainly told me many things about the FFA. He was the Grassland FFA chapter president and really had a very good experience there. He became the county president, and then he became the state president. And I should mention that one of the officers that was on his team of officers was Robert Eby, Bob Eby, and he is now my husband. So I know what a twist of life.
Yeah. Now, can you tell me a little bit about what prompted Glen to run for state office and national office?
I think that Dr. Herr really had a viable interest in Glen and potential that he had. Glen was a very good public speaker. He was very handsome, he had a lot of charisma. And when Glen was the state president, I had the opportunity to go with him to a variety of banquets. Okay. He was always the featured speaker, and I would sit with him at the head table, and he was received so well with such enthusiasm, and people would always come up and talk to him and just be interested in in what he had to say. Mm-hmm.
Now, in high school, was Glen involved in any other events other than public speaking, I'm assuming?
I really don't think so.
Okay.
In fact, Glen was the number 8 child in a family of 9.
Wow. Okay.
And when he was going to go to high school, or wanted to go to high school,
mm-hmm.
he really didn't know if he could go.
Okay.
He asked his mother if he could go to high school, and she didn't say no, and he didn't bother asking his dad. But what happened was, the day that high school was supposed to start, mm-hmm. he got ready, he got on the bus. He came home, he did his farm chores, and his dad never said he couldn't continue.
Wow.
So he enjoyed the high school experience in the FFA, and I must say that Dr. Herr had very good rapport with Glen's parents.
Okay.
That was a key.
Okay.
And he had a lot of respect for his parents, and in turn, Glen's parents had respect for Dr. Herr.
Yeah, they knew he was in good hands in the
yes.
program. Yeah. Can you tell me maybe a little bit more about Glen's life on the farm and the different things that they did there?
Glen grew up on a dairy farm, and so he managed the farm as a senior in high school, and just did everything that goes along with running a dairy farm. His dad had a hatchery, and so he put Glen in charge of the farm. And I would also say that Glen, when he was a state president, I think it was a year after he started college at the Penn State Berks campus.
Okay.
Then he moved to State College and was in the dorms for a year before he became a member of the Alpha Zeta fraternity.
Okay.
Which is an honorary agricultural fraternity. And he enjoyed the experience there immensely. Had very good profs, and he became the outstanding senior in agriculture for that year.
Let's talk about his time in national office and state office too. Let's touch on that more. Can you talk to us about those 2 years he spent?
They were very valuable to him in his outlook on life and his public speaking and his confidence to try. The FFA gave him a confidence that I don't think he would have had any other way.
Yeah.
And I remember he talked to me about running that he wanted to run for a national office. And of course he became a national officer, and he flew around the country speaking and enjoyed that. And there are two gentlemen that he met, J.C. Penney, who started J.C. Penney stores. He met him in his Manhattan office, and that was a tremendous experience for him. He remembers J.C. Penney giving him a ruler. The golden rule was the motto for the J.C. Penney business. And another person he met was Raymond Firestone.
Okay.
He and several of his officers were in Raymond Firestone's home for dinner. And Glen loved to tell the story. After dinner, Raymond Firestone says, "Hey guys, would you like to ride with me through my horse barn?" So they all got in his big car, and they drove through the horse barn. And Glen always had a love for horses.
Yeah.
And that was just monumental, meeting those two gentlemen who made an impact on many lives.
Yeah. Now, I know that jacket ties into national office. Can you tell me the story behind it?
Well, it was the 10th reunion of Glen's officer team. And at that time, Glen and I had a very young boy, our second child, Julian. And Glen had several FFA jackets, National FFA jackets, and I said to him, "Hey, I tried to make a little jacket for Julian." So I made this little jacket, and I took the decals and some of the lettering on his jacket, and I just laid my baby on the bed and cut around and had the little collar and the cuffs and the zipper. And I wore this on him when we were at the national convention, and we got a lot of attention. It was enjoyable being there with Glen's team of officers, and I will also say that one thing, when Glen was an officer, he was so happy that girls were going to be able to be involved with the NFA.
Because that was his year. Yes.
That was his year. And so since then, girls have made tremendous opportunities and contributions to the FFA. After Glen graduated from college, he taught high school at Mannheim Central.
Okay.
Vocational agriculture for 2 years.
Of course.
And then he and I started several businesses, several food businesses.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
The first business that we started was a convenience food store business called Country Acres in the Reading area. And that led into another business that we started. We had a friend a neighbor, who made chips, potato chips. And we thought we wanted to sell his chips at our stores. But he said he had all the business he needed. So we started our own business, King's Potato Chips.
Okay.
And in that period of time, we also started another business, and I named the business All Seasons Kitchen.
Okay.
And so that is a business that continues to this day, making salads without added preservatives.
Okay.
So, and following that, we started a storage business on some land that we had, commercial land that we had. So,
look at you. And so he taught for 2 years, and then you guys went on and did your business endeavors?
we did.
Okay.
We dated for about when I was going through college, and then we got married.
Yeah.
And he finished his last year of college after we were married.
Okay.
And Glen decided he wanted to move back to his home area, which was the Bowmansville area. Mm-hmm. And that is where we lived our last years of our married life. Well, we were only 1 year at Penn State. Mm-hmm. And then Bowmansville was our home.
Wow. And can you tell me a little bit about how FFA just kept showing up into your life even after he was done national office? I mean, we know you went back for the reunion, but can you tell me a little bit more about how it just kept showing up time and time again?
We would be places and people would say, "You were our national officer. I remember you. You were a state officer." And it was amazing the people that even from Philadelphia, the Water Biddle Saw.
I say WB Sol is what we call it. I don't know what the WB stands for.
Water Biddle Saw. He was an attorney, as I recall, and he had a great influence on starting this school. And Glen spoke at that school, and some students even would keep in touch with him throughout his life.
Okay.
And the influence that he had as a public speaker and a state officer coming to their high school. Mm-hmm. And many local people here would remember when Glen was a state officer or a county officer also.
Mm-hmm. Now, as we wrap up the interview, are there any more things that you would like to touch on that I might not have asked or they just didn't come up yet?
Well, Glen and I had 3 sons.
Okay.
Justin, Julian, and Jeremy. And they all were involved or had FFA classes, agriculture classes, and they had a lot of respect for the program also. Dr. Herr had an immeasurable amount of influence on Glen, and Phil Oakline, Clifford Day, and Bob Lawfer. I must say, they had a great influence on my children. And the FFA is such a valuable asset to our community in many ways. I think of Glen's life and the FFA motto, living to serve. And I think that Glen put that into good practice. He was also a Garden Spot school board member. And very viable community member. So he loved living in this area, as did our family.
I think that is a great place to end off. Thank you for meeting with me today, Lucy, and thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more Plowing the Past videos to hear more about New Holland agriculture's history.